Okay, let's talk about disruptive tech. Bet Odyssey is a tipping platform with projected growth to an IPO on the ASX in the next 12 months. George Parthamos from Bet Odyssey joins us now for more. George, great to see you.
Thanks, Holly. Thanks for having me.
Exciting stuff. Tell us about this projection of growth onto the ASX.
Yeah, sure. Well, firstly, we'll talk about Bet Odyssey as a product. So effectively, it's a crowd tipping platform that allows for punters to effectively save time and improve their winning strike rate. And it does this by automating their form guide review process. So if you think about a typical racing or sports punting event, on a typical Saturday afternoon, there might be 10 or 12 racetracks running with potentially 8 or 10 races, and each of those might have 10 horses. So there could be 1,000 horses that a typical punter would need to go through just on a Saturday afternoon. And normally people would spend hours going through the form guide to actually try and apply a very sort of traditional and sort of thought through approach that they've been doing for a number of years. So Bet Odyssey aims to automate this by allowing for punters to effectively enter in their own selection criteria. It gets stored in the Bet Odyssey back-end platform, and then Bet Odyssey will sift through the millions of data points and will then identify matches that perfectly match what the punter is looking for, so they don't need to manually go ahead and do that. And then what it does, which is really smart, is it actually uses very similar to what Google does with their search. It goes across the entire platform and looks for the most popular selections across the entire platform. And then it bubbles all of those up to the top, and it produces the best of the best, if you like, across the entire platform. So we produce daily recommendations based on the top tip, which is the most popular favourites of the day, the most popular value tips of the day, and other types of very specialised lists that really use AI-driven technology to actually produce these results. And so it takes a lot of thought and a lot of time out of a punter's decision-making. And so that's kind of why we're really excited about it, because it really is unique in what it does.
Yeah, absolutely. George, I wanted to ask you, it's almost like an automated algorithm almost. How, logistically, how hard was that to get up and running for you guys?
Yeah, so it's a great question. Look, we've been developing this technology for the last 3 years, and we use what we call multi-threaded algorithms. So as you can understand, there's a lot of different data points coming in. There's literally millions of data points coming in of not just races, but it could be other sports events. And so what the platform's been designed to do is to filter through all of that and then to apply algorithms on top of algorithms and to have them run together, so that as far as the user is concerned, all they need to do is switch on their mobile phone, access the Bet Odyssey application, and the recommendations are just provided. So they don't need to do any of the thinking, and all the technology, all the smarts, all of the algorithms are already developed and have been tested for 3 years, as I said. We really went live, we did a soft launch late last year, but we really went live in July of this year. And we're seeing some really good results, and we're getting some good feedback from our customers, which is great.
Yeah, I was going to ask you about that. What's the consumer response been like to this?
Yeah, look, so far it's been fantastic. I think obviously with the COVID situation, there's been more and more interest with people staying at home and looking for more entertainment while they're sitting around waiting for hopefully this pandemic to pass us. But the betting and the sports industry has obviously grown over that period. But I must stress that we're not a bookmaker, so we don't sit there creating markets or anything like that. We're purely a companion that helps punters save time and improve their winning strike rate.
Yeah, and there's 1.3 million Aussies, whopping 1.3 million, I should say, having a punt on racing and sports betting every single month, and spend more money per capita than any other country in the world. Why do you think that is? And I guess, who is your audience designed for?
Yeah, look, I mean, racing is in our DNA. I mean, we're the only country in the world that has a day off on a race day. So you can understand how passionate we as Australians are around racing and sports, of course. I mean, you look at NRL and AFL, two top competitions and rated really highly globally. So Australians love their sport, and Australians do love to have a punt. I mean, that's the reality. So we're really tapping into a market that's been around for over 100 years, and we're making it smarter. So we're helping people save time, improve their winning strike rate, and really using technology like it's never been used before.
Yeah, George, I wanted to ask you as well. Obviously, gambling and that kind of thing is a concern as well. What kind of regulations do you guys put in place to ensure that, I guess, it's being done in a safe way as well for people?
Sure. Look, again, we're not a bookmaker, so we don't actually take any bets, and we're not affiliated with any bookmakers. We obviously have some bookmakers advertising with us because we have quite a strong demographic to what bookmakers are looking for. Our business model is very much around a freemium model where anyone who's interested in racing or sports betting can download our application free of charge, and they can use our application. If they decide to upgrade to a software as a service, they pay a monthly subscription fee and they get a few extra bells and whistles. But fundamentally, we need to provide whilst we're not regulated, we obviously are very mindful of the gaming industry, and because we are part of it, even though we're a companion product, we provide a lot of notifications within our applications, as you would expect from any other bookmaker. Although we're not a bookmaker, but we recognise that we are in that space and we need to abide by the rules.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm really glad that I asked you about that. It's great to get your insight on it. Now, obviously, there's many US states that have legalised online betting, with many more currently passing bills at the moment. What's your strategy to expand more globally?
Yeah, look, I guess we see the US as a tremendous opportunity right now. So if you look at what's happening in the US market, very recently, federal and high court law changes basically legalised online wagering. And so what's happened now is that each of the states, and now there's 22 that have already legalised gambling in the US and more to follow. I think one state out of the 50 has actually said they're not going to legalise, but everyone else is legalising it, and they're going through the process that you would expect. So that opens up a tremendous market opportunity. So if you look at it right now, US is worth about $24.9 billion in terms of its gambling market. They expect that to grow to around 59.5 billion US within the next 5 years. So it's got a tremendous growth trajectory. It's also going to unlock the ability for people to be able to obviously bet using these online tools that we in Australia are probably very familiar with, but in the US it hasn't been legal in the past. So again, as a companion solution, because we've already built the technology and we've already got the algorithms and all the things we spoke about earlier already built, all we need to do is bolt on the data feeds, and our algorithms can automatically add on multiple sports categories. So in the US specifically, we're looking at gridiron, baseball, basketball, and ice hockey as the 4 core sports categories that we think that we can provide tremendous value for US-based punters.
Remarkable stuff, George. Thanks so much for coming on to speak about this. Such an important topic. Great to get your insight.
No problem. Thanks for having me.